All right. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Atchison County Commission meeting for Tuesday, May 23rd. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and if you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Public comment.
Okay, I
Hi
guess
there.
that would be me.
Yep. Welcome.
I'm running into some issues on our structure that we're wanting to put out at the sports complex. And we're putting in the concession stand bathrooms out there, which is just going to be a simple block structure with a truss design, simple roof. My indication from the commissioners that we needed to have a stamped set of drawings. Everybody I'm going to, there's going to be $7,000 or $8,000 that's going to be the charge on this. And then the next question is why? It's just a simple building. As Brian was leaving here this morning, I kind of explained it to him, and he also went, really? So we talked to since it's within the city limits of Atchison, talked to Phil Burke. Phil does not require, we can build full houses without stamped drawings. This is going to be a structure that's going to be used 90 to 120 days a year, and nobody's sleeping in it. But it's the expense. Of course, there's any construction architect said, yeah, we'll do it, but it's going to be $7,000 to $10,000. $7,000 to $10,000. I can do a lot of stuff with $7,000 to $10,000 other than pay somebody to have a stamp on a shed. All I'm asking is, can we relax this a little bit so I can continue on? And it's going to be built by a reputable contractor that'll back it up, of course, but I have to be able to do something that I can get it out to bid so we can start construction on this after the seasons are over out there.
So I have a quick question. Stamped set of drawings required. How did you receive that requirement?
That was my understanding when anything being done with the on the county property, which belongs to you. Okay.
So in my opinion, this falls into the procurement purchasing policy that we've been talking about. When there's, I mean, you can go out and get, you know what you need, you go out and get several bids and 3 bids say, and you come back and this is who I choose and this is why. You avoid the expense and the timeliness of putting together drawings and all the things, but looking for you guys for your opinion.
Yeah, that is our requirement. This is a good exception to it. I mean, it seems like a pretty simple ask. I mean, we're not talking something real complicated here. As long as it meets all the ADA specs and all that, which it will, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll make sure we cover it and make for sure that it puts the county not at risk, of course. But this is an over-glorified garage, and with the 2 toilets and 3 urinals. So
Maybe if we wouldn't have required all of that, we wouldn't have had such an expensive bid on the scale house.
well, I'm not getting into that, but you're probably right.
I mean, it's like, and we required it for that. I mean, what's the difference?
Well, and those are the things, like, we've had the discussion, it started with Road and Bridge of like, you're going through this process, and does it make sense to go through this process when, if we update our procurement policy that hasn't been done for,
Right.
since when?
It's on the list. We'll
Yeah.
get there.
I mean, I think we, instead of, like, to me, concern of an exception, just getting it right for across the board for every instance that we found that it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And I think commissioners working with the financial director, we can probably put together something that makes sense,
Yeah.
that can be utilized across the board with the standard answer for everyone of, okay, this fits this, so, you know, you're still doing checks and balances with bids, but not such a.
Yeah. Do you have
We have a description of what we want. You know, I did the original one that's out there now, And, you know, we have a drawing that does show ADA compliance and all of those things and require that they do that. But if you will allow this with Brian's supervision, if he wants to oversee it, just to make for sure, I mean, if you have trust in everything that he's doing now, I don't think that would waver that any at all.
This building's gonna somewhat match the concession stand, that's the idea.
Yeah, we want the same split face block and, you know, so it does, the aesthetics are gonna be the same, yes.
I have no problem with this.
I'm for it. It should have been done previously.
Yeah.
Do you like buy a set of plans or something, or just?
These, no. And again, just, well, for simplistics, it's just a pencil drawing. And again, there won't be anything that'll be not of quality, and of safety and all of those things involved. But I can't just go to one contractor and say, and say, provide me with these drawings and get 2 other bids, because it just ain't gonna work that way. If anybody knows anybody,
Yeah.
by contracting, it's stalling the process.
Yep.
So we're exactly 68 days away, 67 days away from the 1st of August, which will be when all the activities are really finished out there, to where at least we can get some contractors. And once you get submittals coming in, as a lot of people know here in the construction agency, and we as ASAF, working as an agent for the county here, I want to do this in a timely manner so we can have it up and ready to use next spring. So I'm just here to give me the go-ahead. And again, I have no problem in talking to Brian on his way out the door here. He says, oh, I ain't a problem with that, and we won't tie him up very long, but if you feel secure with that, I would think that'd be a nice, because he would protect, it'd be your paid employee protecting the interest of the county with the construction experience he
Well,
has.
Phil's gonna be doing the check on it, right? City inspector will be checking.
Oh, yeah, Phil, yeah.
we don't.
He does.
Again, they don't even require stamped architectural drawings for a house, and people are living in it. We're not living in this structure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're required for some commercial properties though. It depends what they're doing, public use facilities, yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm fine with the stipulation. We gotta get this right, so we're.
Well, that's another.
Yeah, but just so the commission knows, like, we need to get this so it's across the board, not just one example at a time. Like, we need to be consistent with our policies, so.
Well, it sounds like what Roger was saying, you got your plate. All right, so I'm
Thank you.
continuing on.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, public comment. Anyone else for public comment that is joining us via Zoom? Okay, I'm seeing none. Reading and approval of the minutes. Did everyone have a chance to read? The minutes were amended this morning per my request. I had them add the stipulations to the solid waste vote last week of the things that I want to see us accomplish and outline with a plan moving forward. But beyond that, everything looked fine to me.
After just finding out this morning that you had changed them, I'd like another week to review them.
Okay.
I thought that the minutes were being presented as just not so much narrative, but just the facts of who made the motions, whatever. So if we're adding that, I may want to add some of my own comments.
No,
So-
you're absolutely fine. For me, when there's a decision made, narrative, a lot of times is the justification why I made the decision, and when we rewind or get questioned, it's nice to have that in our
Well,
minutes.
And I actually, when I had read the minutes, and I thought, well, there's really, people aren't going to get much out of these
Yep.
reading them. And I thought that, but I thought it was across the board there wasn't one or the other. I mean, it was
Yep.
that. And so by changing that, I would
Absolutely.
like to look at it as, and I haven't had time to review them this morning.
I make a motion to table.
Okay, got a comment for
Yep.
you. I'm all about the minutes showing what happened in the meeting, but I think we're going down a rabbit hole if we start doing this. I appreciate your comments and I agree with a lot of them, but this is more like a brainstorming kind of what if, and we ought to think about, this is the kind of thing you should be talking about, the solid waste committee and maybe like the comprehensive planning or the long-term planning for that facility, but I don't think the minutes is the place to put these additional comments. You know, from a parliamentary procedure kind of point of view, normally there's not that much speculative kind of narrative, I think.
It was just outlining what we need to do as a commission.
And I don't disagree with you, I
Yeah.
just think the minutes are the place for it. It wasn't an action we took, we didn't take action that way, it's just talking.
Well,
So-
I stated it in the meeting, the reason I'm voting this is because we need to do X, Y, and Z. And for the
Well-
public, like, the meeting minutes is what they refer to, like
You
beyond.
can do a short statement, I'm okay with that, but this is an entire operational list of things to do. And so I think a brief statement as to your vote, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's the
This is
statement I
not brief.
gave in the meeting.
This is not
And-
brief.
And I think one time we've had a discussion about this because I think that then it really puts it on the clerk or whoever's taking minutes for us is what all to add, because then this could be a huge narrative.
That's right.
On future things that are even more,
It can turn to point counterpoint and never
Yeah.
end. So,
And
yeah,
so-
it's a very dangerous road to go down.
yeah. So I'd still like that week to look at it, and we'll talk about it next week. That's all right?
Well, yeah,
I mean-
no, I would love to talk about it, and because if it comes down to that, then could affect how I vote too in the future. If you guys, if you're taking that stance, it's like, well, then in order to vote this way, we need to have these accomplished. That way I'm feeling good about where we're heading, not just, the discussion we have in our meeting, so. I do believe still we need to accomplish all those things, and that's part of the yes vote for it doesn't make sense to vote for a $700,000 facility without a plan of who's staffing it, what the needs are, how are we funding it after the sales tax, all
But we
the
did.
things.
Yeah.
No,
We did.
and that's why I think it's key that we have to have these identified. And we did because we've been through the process of spending money on the architect, and it's been recommended by the committee for, what, 2014
We
on?
voted and we supported it.
Yeah.
And that's what needs to be in the minutes.
So,
But,
So-
I mean, immediately it shows up the very next week that, well, maybe we don't need stamped architectural drawings for these buildings. And what would that have saved us? So immediately it's already showing up that maybe we got the cart before the horse.
well, and I think the magnitude of the project at solid waste versus the little building they're gonna build for a concession stand is not comparing apples to apples in a discussion, but neither with the price tag of it, but,
So I moved to table the minutes.
okay. I will second that. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0. Commissioner comments and committee reports. Commissioner Rivas?
Couple things. I do have a project concern meeting this week. It's also the Community Foundation's match day for a lot of the nonprofits and organizations that have funds with them and new fund holders. So that's on Thursday at noon. And anybody is welcome to come to that and learn more about how match day works and how the Community Foundation works. I'll throw that plug in there. The other thing is we went to Topeka Tuesday last week. Right, that was Tuesday. I lost track.
Yep, Tuesday, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And went to the budget workshop. It was well attended and by several municipalities and counties across the state. And there was, let's see who it was. It was Commissioner Quinn, myself, Michelle, and Mark were there. And also the city manager and her finance director were there as well. And so we had a chance to share some thoughts with them, and we also had a chance to learn a lot about budgeting. So it was very, very well utilized.
Yep. Okay. Commissioner Knoll?
I have a health department meeting Monday the 6th. I believe that's Is Monday the 6th?
In May.
Yeah, or June, I mean, June 6th.
Tuesday's
Fifth?
the sixth, fifth
Fifth.
is Monday, yep.
Okay. And then has the safety committee?
We have not rescheduled that yet.
We have not
No.
rescheduled? Okay. That's all I have.
Okay, I just have, one thing, and I received, an anonymous citizen feedback form, and I need to be cognizant of, I'm not able to read the whole thing because it's referencing commissioners, and other elected officials that,
I would actually appreciate it if we wouldn't read them at all, because they're anonymous.
well, and I know you take a stance on
And
that,
I
so.
think they're just horrible, and I know the department heads, most of them don't care for them either, so I just be cautious in what we read, because, yeah, I'm very much opposed to this.
Yep, and I realize that. So basically, the things that direct to me are asking me why, I believe that the joint communications operations of the dispatch center should be, put under the sheriff, which I voted for last week. And I just wanted a chance to explain that, from my point of view, over the last, really the thing for me was some of the challenges that our director had, expressed to me during the budget season this year, as well as just being on the board for 2.5 years, and now we're to a point where I feel like the working relationship is good. The sheriff is an elected official that resides in the building with the joint communications director, and can provide the support as an elected official who deals with all agencies. Some of her concerns that she had expressed are things I am not, as a commissioner who has a meeting once a week and not in that building 24/7 as the sheriff and elected, can help her with. So I think it's going to be a positive across the board. I truly believe it's the best decision for Atchison County. I'm excited. Amy Finch is going to join us next week on behalf of the city to get any of her questions and expectations laid out. And I just think this is the start of a really good path forward together. So that's my stance. The other thing directly to me was, in the meeting, I make reference to saving tax dollars and trying to do what's best for citizens, and I would say absolutely, 110% every decision that I make. It is not taken lightly. It's collaboration with staff. It's weighing pros and cons, and always trying to do what's best for Atchison County in everything. So just, that's where I'm at on the comments that I can address that were directed to myself.
In my opposition, I think that.
Oh, you read that too. Sorry, so you want to explain so they know what?
Well, there was a
I didn't-
comment, but this is more an address to your comments now. I mean, since it's coming back up.
Yep.
And that, yeah, there was some issues brought up, but we didn't address them at all. I think that we were in direct supervision of joint communications, and we didn't direct them. So immediately we just maybe abdicated our duty, and they are being put under an elected official who now can make all of these decisions, and we can't do anything about it because that they're an elected official. We've just kind of moved them over into another slot, so we didn't have to deal with it. It feels to me like we done to joint communications is what Leavenworth County has done to us with our on community corrections or juvenile corrections that Leavenworth County's done to us. They had the power, they could do it, they did it, and they're just moving on. So that's, yeah, that's
no, you're fine. You're in.
that's exactly the way it feels like
I
that
appreciate
they've been treated.
your opinion, but I think it's a positive, and we're all within Atchison County as elected officials, and having our joint communications director have the resource as someone like our sheriff that is 24/7, an elected official housed in the same building, you know, in collaboration with staff, I stand behind that. I think that it's a definite positive, but I appreciate your perspective as well, so.
Okay.
All right. EMS Commission Report for April 2023. Did you guys have a chance to see? We'll make a motion to receive and file?
We can do that.
Yeah, we have been.
Okay. Yeah, so moved.
Okay.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0. Joe Snyder, 10 a.m. Sorry, we're running a little late. Grading and ditch stabilization bid opening.
I want to introduce Matt Henderson of McAfee Henderson Solutions. They're the ones that have drawn up everything, put this out to bid, and when we get done today, he'll get a copy of them, and I'll let you kind of explain what your process is.
Yeah, we'll take in and evaluate all the bids, put it in a spreadsheet, and make a recommendation on the lowest quote, I have back to Joe for presentation to you all.
And then we'll bring that back, or I will, after we decide to do it next week.
Okay.
Okay?
Sorry,
Nope.
I, 4 bids were received. I'm looking at them for Joe. First one was from Allers,
Spelling?
ALLER_S LLC out of Hiawatha, Kansas. I don't know if I said it right, sorry guys.
It's Aller, I believe, so
Just saying.
either way.
It doesn't show that they, on the addenda, it does not look like they,
There's no agenda.
okay, just making sure. Oh my goodness. The total bid would be for $244,973.32. So 244,973.32. And then they do have their bid bond. Bid number 2 is from Rubik Construction, RUBICK, out of Williamsburg, Kansas. Bid bond. Here it is. Their bid is for $328,524 even. So 328,524.00. Third bid is from King's Construction, Oskaloosa, Kansas. In the amount of $215,000, 215,000.00. And they do have a bid bond. Fourth bid is from Lexico out of Leavenworth, Kansas. do have a bid bond. In the amount of $284,846, even, 284,846.00. And that is all the bids received.
And we will compile all these and be back next week with a suggestion.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
I will add, I sent this to you, but I didn't bring a sealed copy. The engineer's estimate was $220,505.
That was what?
$220,505 was our engineering estimate.
That's,
That's right. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
So, any for now.
Okay.
Great.
I will talk to you about the next project.
Yep.
After we
Yep.
discuss this.
Sure.
Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
thank you.
And then,
Perfect.
Nice to meet you.
Yep, nice to meet you, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Joe Snyder, department update.
Okay, the Husker Steel Bridge is complete. We're out there cleaning everything up and doing the, on E5-14-3 on 242nd between Hamilton and Haskell. We're out there cleaning everything up and getting ready to get the, excuse me, approaches and everything put together and ready to open the road. So they were done first of the week, and the guys are cleaning everything up. Like with Husker Steel, you know, they put the bridge in and then they leave the spoils, and we're cleaning all that up and trying to get that road ready. So, and then I haven't been on the new bridge down by Meade yet, but when they get the pouring, when I find out they're pouring, I'll let you know, because I think you wanted to know that. We got our new lease tractor today, so we'll be using it tomorrow on the sheep's foot as we do the approaches on the bridge. We're still waiting on some tubes, to get some tubes put in on a couple of the roads. Everything's really going really pretty good, to be quite honest. The guys, we've got new people in, we've got them in trucks, getting their CDLs, we've got one tractor and mower going all the time, the other one had some issues and they're working on it today. Everything really, we'll probably start, the chip and seal be like the first or second week in July. We'll do a little bit of patching before then, and put some asphalt over the top of the tubes that we're replacing.
When does Morton start?
Okay, so Morton, somewhere around the first week of June. So just so you know, there was a conversation about them wanting to mill the whole thing and then come in and lay the asphalt. They sent a request to Gabe, and Gabe and I discussed it, just like it was in the contract, that we feel like it's better to lay back today what they mill. Even though we'll have some joints, we're not gonna have the dirt in the road to possibly cause a bonding issue. So I just wanted to let you guys know that, so if something's said, that's what the discussion was. I started to answer it and I caught myself because we've hired the engineers to help do this, and sent him to talk to Gabe, and he sent an email, and I think that's the way we need to go. That's how we wanted to do it in the beginning, and I think that's the way we should. So.
you know, milling and then an unknown
So,
amount of time.
so
it's
they
like-
mill and they lay it that day.
Yeah, but
Because it would be a lot easier if they just went and milled the whole road, and then they just laid the whole road. But we're a little concerned about contamination with dust or dirt, or if it rains and then you pull that out on the road, so. And that's how it was in the contract, so.
okay.
They would like to meet somewhere in the middle. I understand why they would like to, but, if there's anything else on that, I'll let you be aware of what's going on.
Yeah, it's too bad we couldn't do that, but you'd have to keep the traffic off of it, and how do you do that at night?
That's the problem. That's the problem, you know, because
Yeah, but if it's 1 or 2 days, it's one thing. It could be 3, 4, 5, 6
if
weeks,
something
7
happens,
weeks.
if it rains, if it
Yeah.
starts raining, then
Right, there you are, yeah.
we're kinda out of luck on that, so.
and all these roads, I mean,
With the
you drag a lot of
history-
mud with tractors.
Yes,
the
and
rural
with the history
come
we've
off
had
the
on that
railroads.
road, I mean, I had a guy call and ask the other day when we were gonna do it, well, hopefully everything sticks this time, you know, so they're all aware of what our issues are, so, the community, you know, that's my opinion, so. Anybody have any questions about anything or any concerns? The blade guys are going, every day, and we're starting to work on some things. So we've got our retriever, since we've done with this approaches and everything, the ditches on this bridge, we'll be using it. They seem to be working well together today. One of them's hauling rock with the other, you know, so we can have other people doing other things.
Durapatcher, has that been,
Yes, it's been running. Today we pulled it off so we could get all the dirt hauled away from the bridge. But we're also looking at a lot of our culverts while we're doing this. So anything, we're documenting it. And I bought an iPad mini that I was gonna use, but I've given it to Garrett because he can take pictures of the culverts and the boxes, mark down what they are, and he can basically send it straight to Jack so it goes on our GIS. So we eliminated 2 or 3 steps by doing that, and I'll probably purchase another one for the other foreman. So, but that has really helped, because he would write all the information down on a piece of paper. Then he'd have to bring the paper in. And then the girls in the office would have to go through that, and it's hard understanding what somebody else is putting down, but he's doing it all. It's like, this is inspected on this date. It has GPS location, it has the size, and it has a rating. If it's poor, it's poor. I mean, if it's good, it's good. He ranks them in that rating, and then we have the information on all the culverts. And it will take a year or 2 to get through all of them, but that's something we've started within our road plan. So,
That's great.
but that's really worked out well.
sounds good.
Okay, so we have a 10:30 executive session for 20 minutes. Attorney-client. And I believe
Okay.
Joe, Finance Director, Commission, and County Council. Is that,
Did I put you on that?
Well, we were
we
just.
couldn't remember, we're asking.
Yeah.
I don't think that he wants to be involved
Okay,
in this.
so just commissioners and county council? Okay.
Okay, I'll move that the Board of County Commissioners recess into executive session at 10:32 a.m. for consultation with an attorney for the public body, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship as allowed by K.S.A 75-4319B2, and that the purpose of the closed session is to protect the confidentiality of the discussion, and that the board come out of executive session at 10:52 a.m. in the EOC 10443 US Highway 59, and those present will be 3 commissioners, Joe Snyder, county councilor, that's it.
There's a second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes 3-0.
Give it for a minute. I move to extend the executive session for 15 minutes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0.
I wonder if that was in the mails, and that might, is that what's up next with?
Oh, sorry.
That one's just
I
right
don't
there,
know.
so
Do I
it's
need
your
to-
phone.
Yes, I'd open it. Just to make sure that it's not something that we need to discuss anyway.
Oh, no, this is, yes, please.
Present for you.
Okay, Stacy Waggle, Solid Waste Manager, Contractor Creel Clark, and Seifert Herner Construction.
So we got the contract for that after the approval last week, and I sent it to Pat just to have him look it over. And he suggested that I bring it into you guys to make sure that to approve my signature on it, I guess, is what he said. So I sent it to you guys, you got it last week, right? Yeah, so as long as everything is on the up and up, I'll sign it and send it back.
You felt, I mean, I read through, but
Yeah,
it's
no, the
mainly
contract is
typical
standard, and it's
yeah.
what was, I mean, it's what I expected
Yep.
from the bid documents that went out, but just because of the dollar amount involved, if there was an issue, I didn't want her to be out on an island with someone asking her, why did you sign this? And
Yep.
Okay, I will sign it and send it back.
Okay.
Easy
so,
peasy.
well, you should probably vote to do that.
Oh,
That'll give you the authority to
Oh,
do
sorry, I
that.
have it.
Who all signatures required? Just
It's
yours?
mine.
That's interesting.
So you could designate a different person if you
Yeah.
wanted to have if you wanted to have a commissioner sign it, or the chairwoman sign it, you could, I'm sure we could have change to do that.
What's your recommendation?
I don't think it makes a difference
Okay.
as long as you've approved it and given authority to
Yeah,
do it.
that seems right.
Okay. Do I have a motion to allow Stacy Waggle, solid waste, Atchison County Solid Waste Director, also manager, to allow her to sign the AIA document A101-2017 for the transfer building and new scale house project?
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved. Do I have a second? Okay, I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay, and passes 2-0. So
I have one, so
do you want to sign that one, and I'll stick that in the blue folder? Thank you.
and
All right.
did anybody have any questions on the email from the tires?
Oh,
Let's see, I read that. Did you send that?
I sent it
There it is.
yesterday
Yeah.
morning. Just kind of the plan that I've worked up, what it's gonna look like. Everything's going through with the state, no big deal.
Oh, yeah, I think I
Awesome.
responded to you on that. Didn't I? Didn't I?
No,
Maybe I didn't. I mean, I did it by Gmail.
I got no response.
sorry, I appreciate you getting all of that information for us.
Do we wanna move forward with the cutter, or are we still waiting on?
So we're having a budget workshop this afternoon, and maybe we can, we'll kind of visit about it, and then we could add it to the agenda.
Okay.
And
Just let me know.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have an employee status form, that I would look for approval for Community Corrections Director, awarded to Catherine A. Sparks, at a salary of $76,442. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes 3-0. And we can all sign this one.
What was the start date?
6/5, so June 5th. Okay. Atchison County RFP generator.
Good morning still. So I sent all of you the RFP that Mr. Henderson, myself, and Brian have went through for the courthouse emergency generator. It would be put out to bid, and the bids would be June 12th. It explains all the objectives and requirements for the generator and where to be placed and everything that has to be followed, procedure. Do you have any questions on it? Before we put it out for bid.
Wes, you said June 12th for bids to be in, or for the bid opening June 13th, correct?
Sorry, it's due June 12th. Bid.
I just wanted
June
to
13th,
clarify,
yes,
because
yes.
I was,
Yeah.
thank you.
Two things. One, I saw that it was gonna come out of capital outlay, And based on some of the predictions that we're getting, I think we need to table this and do our budget workshop first. And then the only other thing is, after reading through this, I'm wondering if this falls under to the same discussion we had this morning with the procurement purchasing policy. If it makes more sense for you to know what you need, to go out to 3 vendors that do it, solicit an estimate and say, okay, I want this one because of this, versus,
So I've done that, and then you said we need to put it out to an RFP.
when did we do that?
I don't remember now.
Because this
Back
is
into the
just
year.
like the same
late last
discussion
year.
of like,
I remember that, so this was before it was.
Late last year.
after reading this, I'm just thinking like what we went through of like, with people's workload and all the things of like, will generator contractors look at Atchison County and submit a bid and, you know, agree to a 5-year warranty versus some do 3, like all the things of, and that was feedback that I got after the solid waste RFP was, oh gosh, the start date has to be June, like there's no way we can, you know, bid that based on workload and all the things, so,
I will go back to those 3 companies
Well,
and,
I just think that we should probably have our budget workshop first to see where we're at, based on,
so the funds for this was budgeted in 2022 and it was supposed to be moved over into capital outlay. So if that's not gonna happen, then we don't have funding for the,
Is ARPA money appropriate here?
well, we took it out of the ARPA because we budgeted for it. And then we didn't do this project because of all the changes at the county courthouse.
Oh,
So
I
we
see.
held off on it
Yep.
until we knew what was going on.
Yep.
And then that money was supposed to be rolled from that budget into the 154 account, so we could do it this year. Is what was discussed.
Is there any reason why it couldn't be out of ARPA?
Could be,
It could be.
yeah, could be.
I don't know.
Yeah, you know, it absolutely could
do
be.
you remember on the bids you got what the range was? The reason I'm asking is because on our procurement policy that hasn't been updated forever, we're trying to figure out what makes sense and like,
68,000. But I'm sure that's higher now because that was clear back in November. And it took Mr. Henderson and myself a while to create this big, huge document. So,
okay.
not huge document, but decent size. So, well,
Okay.
I will go back to them and
Say about 15 probably. 15, you said 15 or 50? But what number did you say?
68,000.
Okay. a good
Sorry,
percent.
yeah, it's 68,000. I'm sure it'll be in the 72 to 74 range.
That's out, I was gonna say, I didn't think I heard you right.
Yeah. I wish 15,000.
I'm kidding, I was like, really?
I buy 2 or 3.
Right?
Okay, well, I will wait, so we're putting on the agenda for next week? I mean, what,
I think we need to reevaluate in our budget workshop and then give direction.
okay. That works.
Okay, county counselor updates.
Last week, you directed me to draft a resolution regarding the change in the structure, I guess, of joint communications. And so I sent a draft of that out yesterday, and then yesterday, late last night, Sheriff Laurie had sent a couple comments, and I responded to those. One of which involved the name. The statutory authority for the sales tax had language in joint law enforcement communications, and I'm hesitant to change that because that's the authorization to spend money is on that title. Also, I had left out Atchison County Rescue, and they were added, and then changed also the sheriff to the sheriff's office rather than sheriff's department, which is more correct.
Pat, you brought up a good point with the sales tax names joint. The joint law enforcement communications. Well, wouldn't that mean that there had to be a joint communications board to oversee that?
Well,
Could
I
we
don't
get
know
into
that-
problem there that this has been authorized for sales tax, and then by taking away, there's no board and no director, that there's now no authority to spend the sales tax money?
Well, I think I think it's joint communication services in the sense that it provides services to multiple agencies. I think that would meet the definition of joint. I think it would be reading a lot into the statute to say that it required joint control or something like that. You know, we had some discussions about what the control would look like. Those really didn't go very far, but we have, but this resolution that I drafted is my attempt to place joint communications under the supervision of the sheriff. So, I think that's a separate discussion. I say separate, it could be part of the same discussion, or it could be separate, about what role the board will have, if any. That's policy.
The Board of Commissioners or?
A joint communications board.
Yeah, I appreciated your draft. I think it would be best to hold off probably until, the city's gonna be here at 11 next week for our meeting, to kind of outline some of their expectations and have a conversation of like, just to make sure,
Yeah.
they understand, and so it'd be good to hear that conversation to know if we should add anything to this, probably.
I lean towards thinking we probably should put one phrase in here saying that at the discretion of the sheriff, he may create an advisory board to serve at his pleasure, or whatever the right words are.
Okay.
That might help. Because he talked about still having some kind of a board. Helps me plug it in.
So, and also, as far as, because this is very short compared to our last resolution that had to deal with joint communications, do you think we should have the, spending outlined in the same resolution, or this one's just dealing with supervision and then the next would be, because I know that was, from the city standpoint, just ensuring that they're gonna continue to get the radio, everything funded, because that's what was voted on.
Right.
So, just curious how that, and again, that could be me sitting back and listening to Amy and Jack, work out those details to add to this, but
What's joint about it, and what, if the sheriff chooses not to fund this or that?
It's joint by definition. It's the dispatch center where all the entities are using the dispatch center. That's the joint part of it.
Well, they're being dispatched too, but what if there's different opinions on what needs to be procured, or different radios or anything like that? The decision for what's ordered, what vendors, everything is gonna be within the sheriff's department, correct? I mean, before, did the Joint Communications Board direct if they were going to take bids on radios or things like that? Well, now, I mean, if that could be directed solely from the sheriff's office, I mean, anything to do with it is going to be directed through the sheriff's office.
and the concern with that is,
Well, I mean, if there's different opinions from the city or other law enforcement, or maybe their needs,
Well,
I mean, I don't know where that they'll be given the same weight as what the board would have given them.
Well, our sheriff said he wants to still do all the same things they were planning on, but I just think if we put something in this resolution that would help with that. Say, who knows, the next sheriff have a different opinion, so I think it's good to say in here, we're still going to have some sort of an advisory board.
I think that you saying the next sheriff too, like, that's where my mind has been on this entire thing of, you know, setting up hierarchy for success and what's best for Atchison County, regardless of the people or the personalities or any of the history.
Right,
Like,
right.
this is the best makeup, and as far as the what ifs, the making, you know, this out to be all the what ifs that could go wrong, like, well, then the public will vote someone else in that can do it. I mean, as an elected official, you have a responsibility to, if I don't like Dee Gehring, I'm still gonna represent her because she's in my district. Like, it doesn't, we're elected to do what's right. It's not elected because of personalities or any of that. And so that's the things of removing from the equation when you're making good decisions for the betterment of the county and going back to this resolution. I appreciate the draft, but I really would love to have next week's discussion, and then
Why don't I send you it's a really rough, working draft of the longer resolution.
Okay.
yeah, and then that way it's all encompassed in one, like where
Seems
there's
like,
expectations.
so now you're wanting input after you've already had the vote?
What vote?
The vote last year, the last week that you we
No,
voted.
no, here's the reason she's on there is because she was at the budget meeting and we were visiting about it, and I want her to feel comfortable of having that discussion in an open meeting to make sure expectations are met.
But we didn't have that meeting before you voted last week to already do it. I mean, it seems like it's a little bit now, like, now that we've done it, now.
Well, I talked to her as well, she had some questions, it's not.
I stand behind my decisions, like all.
Yeah, no, I think it's more about it, just to have more of a conversation about how will it look now. It's not
I just
if we're
want-
gonna do it, it's how it's going to look now, and it's just, they're
I want her-
partners with us, we gotta work with
Yeah,
them.
and that's the thing of having the platform to allow her to feel comfortable and get her questions answered so that she is as good with the decision as we are. Like, that's the thing when.
Again, it's after the fact. I would have thought that would have been questions and things that could have been answered before the vote, not after it's already done.
So, and again, as a county.
And after you promised the Joint Communications Board that we weren't gonna change the hierarchy of joint communications.
And guess what? Decisions that you make are based on the information you are given. Okay, so fast forward when you're given additional information that's very concerning, that I've been sitting here riding the wave of, you know, accountability is happening and things, and then there's situations and information given to me. There has to be someone in her corner helping, and obviously us three once a week off-site aren't the answer to that. She needs someone in her corner advocating and helping her with some of the challenges that are safety issues, to be honest. Like, this is what's in the best interest of Atchison
Well, I
County. And I
have a
know.
complete different take on that, because.
And I know you've been living in the history of the city versus the county, and I'm Atchison County, and the city is within me, and I'm making decisions for all of my constituents, regardless of drawing lines in the sand to say, we're here with one another working together, and that's how it should be. Because at the end of the day, when there's a city and county divide, you know who hurts? It's the constituents. It's the people that are suffering from us not working together.
I agree.
And now, Amy works full-time. She has an issue, she can call Kim. If Kim's dispatching, she can talk to Sheriff Lori. There's a chain of command and communication that we're not providing. I mean, it just, that's
Yep.
where,
It's gonna make our dispatch center stronger, it's gonna give them a little more empowerment.
and I think all of the emergency agencies will see that.
Yep.
And that's the core, is the end users that see the benefits of the decisions being made. And
Yeah, if someone calls 911, they don't need to have somebody who's overworked or short-staffed trying to get help there. I mean, I think there's a lot of positive out of it.
I do too.
So you already sent that?
I haven't seen
Oh,
it
okay,
yet.
that's fine.
won't be long.
So you don't really need to table or anything, because we may have a different draft entirely.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it'd be better to adopt after next week's conversation. That way, if we need to add anything,
Absolutely.
I think it will feel. Did you have any?
Let's see, yes, Benedictine College had been here in April, back when the day that our computer stuff was down, and talked to you about doing another bond issue. And we did not get that on the calendar, although they mentioned that day that they wanted to come back today. And they have given us some draft documents to be approved. They also have done a publication of a public hearing, and that public hearing, they said, at 1 o'clock today. And so I wondered if at 1 o'clock, maybe we could take that up. This bond issue is for constructing some row houses, and so they would be educational revenue bonds. We've issued, the county has issued a number of those on behalf of the college over the past decade or a little longer. I think I might count over $100 million in bonding that this board has approved. So it is not on the agenda, but this is very, very, very similar to the previous dozen or so of transactions, I guess, that you've authorized. The heavy lifting on those is done by Gilmore and Bell Bond Council and by UMB Bank, who is the partner that they have set up, I think, that purchases most of the bonds, if not all of them. So we take that up at 1 o'clock.
Okay, so when we adjourn into workshop, then we'll just,
Reconvene.
because we were adjourning at 11 o'clock into workshop, and it's just, we're running later, so.
Well, I don't know that I think we probably have to wait till the public hearing, so,
Okay, so we can just come back from workshop for the,
yeah.
okay, is that the best?
I'm
I know.
Sorry.
No, is it gonna be, cause you can't come back in if you adjourn, so it's gonna have to be a recess, correct?
Into
We can
recess.
I'm just
recess into,
asking, I just wanna
No, you're
get
right,
the
you're right.
clarification,
Thank you,
right?
thank you.
we could recess
Into
into
workshop.
workshop until 1 o'clock or 5 till 1, and then
Yeah,
come.
fire back up.
I just wanted to clarify, Patrick.
Thank you.
Yes, I appreciate that, that's correct.
So you can escape for a little while.
I asked it.
That's
This is
all
my
I
job.
have.
Just a couple quick things. There's 2 requests for payments from the Kansas Sales Tax Revenue Bonds. One to Atchison Fence Company to remove and reinstall 300 feet of existing fence in different locations to the Atchison Sports Complex in the amount of $14,634.19. Were you here when we authorized, what was it, 400? 400 for Atchison, okay, I couldn't remember. So this would be one out of that. Do you wanna look at this? They were in my folder. And then there's another one, Kansas Sales Tax Revenue Bonds, payee recreation installations, for a Woodstock play structure, at the Atchison Sports Complex. Projected installation date would be the first week of October this year. And that is in the amount of $51,753.81. So those 4.
All in one motion or two motions?
Oh, we can do two, that's fine. I just wanted you guys to have a chance, because I just looked at them also. So I'd look for a motion to approve, paying the Kansas sales tax revenue bond to Atchison Fence in the amount of $14,634.19 to remove and reinstall 300 feet of existing fence in different locations at the Atchison Sports Complex.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes 3-0. All right, and then I'd look for a motion to pay the Kansas sales tax revenue bonds in the amount of $51,753.81 to Recreation Installations LLC for a Woodstock play structure in-ground mount to be installed the first week of October 2023.
So,
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0. Pat, one more thing, and we can either do it next week or if it's easy to explain. In my anonymous feedback that I got, there were several questions, and I just wanted people to understand that if they have questions of the county, they can do a Kansas Open Records request, and just the process of that, because I think a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah, we have an open records request act form on our website. I think just to verify, I think if they type in CORA,
Okay,
which is Kansas Open Records Act, that will bring it up.
okay,
And there's a Open Records Act brochure, so yeah, that comes up. Or if
Awesome.
they just do open records.
okay, perfect.
A lot of times, if somebody's trying to just get an answer to a question, it might be easier to email or talk with
That
the
person.
staff.
Okay.
Because sometimes, I've seen it where a request comes in and it's a lot of work to comply with it when all they really wanted to know was something that we might have known off the top of our head.
Okay,
So,
perfect. So that's good. Thank you for that. And then I can just let them know if they have any questions to contact that individual, and either that or if they don't get what they're looking for, they can fill this out, so.
Yeah, and I checked, if you type in open records, that's the best one. It takes you directly to the request form,
Awesome.
or that's the first hit.
Okay, perfect. All right. Public comment.
I'm Dee Gehring. Hello to everybody that doesn't know me. And at our Walnut Township meeting, we discussed maybe could you all consider the road that Dwayne and at least one other Bouldridge, and I'm not sure who owns the middle house, is all I could say, be consumed by the township without going through a bunch of whatever you have to do. Because at this moment, as we found out, I think it was the last meeting, that road doesn't exist, but it does and has for many years. Cause he's on a driveway, I guess, at this point in his time. And ever since I've known him, he's lived on that road. So it needs to be a road so he can be recognized and graded and rocked. My opinion. The township's.
so is it a driveway?
Well, no,
Or a
it's
road?
really a road, but it's never been, cause that was the one that, K.S.A, you had said the thing where it was,
Is this
I'm
correct?
trying to find
well, I was gonna say,
the email
because it's
from
the,
Pat. Sorry, I think I filed it in township already.
well, I was
did.
gonna say, cause it went on, I do believe that this one's it.
Yeah, that's the drawing from Roger that
Yeah,
he had.
it's the littler part of the
Just
triangle.
the little
Little
single
bitty-
line is the current road, or what needs to be?
Well, see, this is Sherman Road going around this way, and he's actually just off of Sherman Road. But if you go there, it's got like three different mailboxes out here on Sherman Road. And his address is, I've got it here, 5600 something Sherman Road. But he doesn't truly live on Sherman Road, but at least make him, because when we looked it up, he wasn't township, nor was he a county road.
So where are the houses then?
Well, they're all on the south side of the road, I would call it, off of
Sherman?
True Sherman Road, yes.
See, on this photo, you can't see any houses
know,
there. I
I
didn't
know.
see, there's other houses up the road here. You can see all of those
Right.
buildings, and that's what's threw me on this
That,
one.
and that's what's funny, and then that's when we found out that it wasn't
Yeah.
lit by any.
That's all those things that they signed off on. Sorry, I was just, so Pat
No.
had sent all of us that information.
Right.
And so I think it's probably in the best interest of all of us, before taking action, that we do have all affected landowners sign off on something, that states that they are aware that this, this then opens it, where no trespassing, all of the things he laid out in his email, just to make sure, because we can all be there and say, oh, I
Yeah.
agree with you, let's do this, but
Yeah.
like having documentation
Right.
that our decision is supported by everybody affected, I think will
Correct.
be helpful for all of us.
Correct.
Yeah, the general process for doing roads is that somebody files a petition with the Board of County Commissioners, and that's whether it's going to be a township road or a county road. And there's a process, and I don't think we've opened a road since I've been around. But we've closed a few, and the petition, I think, is the same to alter or establish a road. But we did look at the county road records, and the clerk's office is charged with maintaining those, and we have a lot of them.
Right.
And we've done Roger Denton in his, in the last decade has done a lot of work in getting all of those scanned and making sure we have copies of all of them, and even doing the map work, which is from this picture that you saw here. And we can't find that this was ever formally made into a road. And that can be done, but part of what's required through doing that, it's not a free process.
Right.
But part of what's required in there is that we have the legal description of the center line of the road.
Right.
And that typically is going to involve a survey.
Right.
And I don't know of any other way to do it. And surveys, there would be some cost associated with that. I also think it would be a good idea to have all of the affected landowners sign off, because they are giving up a little bit of privacy by making that public. Right now, if I go down there, they could tell me, you don't belong here, get out of here. But
Right.
somebody might, I don't know if it would happen, but somebody might just drive down there because I want to see what my tax dollars are funding.
Right.
So they need to understand that.
So
as
for,
well.
I'm sorry. So for all intents and purposes, has this just been thought it was an open road that there hasn't been any restrictions or anything on anybody
I was
going?
gonna say, they always just thought it was the road.
Mhm.
And like I said, I've known Dwayne for over 40 years. And he's always lived there. And then, I never can remember, the other Mrs. Boldridge that's out on the corner, and she's always lived there. She's in an A-frame house. And then there's one in between that went up in the time of me going to Dwayne's before, when he had kids in school and stuff.
So is this a through road or?
No, it goes down to Dwayne's and that's it.
Okay, it just dead. It's,
Yep.
Okay.
But, we got a few of those in town, or in the county, sorry. That just go nowhere,
Yeah.
like the one to, Mr. Macy's, down that way,
Yeah,
on the other
there's,
side of the road.
this has just been one that the township's always taken care of.
Right.
And so with a new trustee and getting information from the courthouse of it's not a road, then, it's not, so this is cleaning up.
Right. I'm not familiar
Yeah.
with the property,
But I
so
like-
I'm just trying to.
understand.
And I like visiting about the process though, and ensuring all affected parties are on board.
Right.
So that
Yeah,
there's
I'd love
no
to clean it up.
questions that we're all doing what's right.
Right.
It's,
I'm just visualizing.
Well, I was gonna say, I'd be really happy to take y'all down there, because I can go up and down the road, but beware, because it doesn't have much stuff, so you may bump. That's all I'm saying. We might wanna go on a four-wheeler instead. I'm just saying, it's county road stuff.
It's,
So,
I'm not sure this is the same one where Dwayne lives.
well,
it's under a different name, but he lives in the
it's under
farthest-
Sherman Road is what it's under. I can tell you his address here in just a moment.
He's the third, the farthest one in.
But I'm not sure this map is.
I'm not seeing anything that's being described, so.
Oh, I understand. Well, and see, I think when something came up, and it might have been the one that you had sent, because I can't get Wi-Fi where I live, just so y'all know, county people really cannot get it, because I live down in a gully. And, well, I do. To get it, it would have, fingers. I used to have to go to the top of my hill and turn my phone certain ways when cell phones first came out. And I can see 2 towers for cell phones from where I live, but they just don't support me in any way. Okay, I am really going to give you his address.
We were looking at this is not the same place as what you.
Okay.
We have it now.
Well, I was gonna say, cause his is goofy, is all I can call it. For lack of anything better, if I could get my phone number. And I apologize.
This is his.
And of course, on here, his address is 4676 Sherman Road. Yeah.
That is not the same.
Oh, see, I
That's
thought
not-
that somebody had it, like maybe across the road, and I'm not being funny, and I don't know how to read those as well as you all, who have looked at them many more times than I have.
So I just wanna ask, since it seems like we're all in agreement to move forward with getting some more details ironed out, if we would be okay to let you two finish the conversation and go ahead and recess into workshop?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Okay, so, I would look for a motion to recess into workshop, at 11:45, and then we will come back for a public hearing at 1 PM.
I'll second.
Okay, so moved and seconded, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes 3-0. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you all, and I'm
If you wanna do that after the meeting.
Okay.
We can grab a
So-
letter from you.
Perfect. There's just a few.
Yeah, this was necessary today because we have our board meeting next week, and so we want to.
Yes, sir. No, I saw on the email that,
So we appreciate it.
yeah, you bet, absolutely.
Ron.
Well, we're still 30 seconds ahead of time, but Benedictine College has requested that the county issue or facilitate the issuance of some new bonds in the amount of $4 million. This is something that you've done at least a dozen times over the last decade, and I think over $100 million in total in that time. So, so you may not have had all the documents to look at with as much advance notice as you might have liked. These are very, very similar to the last dozen that we've done with Benedictine College. There's a requirement for there to be a public hearing, and that public hearing is set for 1 o'clock. I don't see anybody that's here to talk about it, and maybe you might, the chairwoman may want to verify that there's not anyone here for the public hearing, so that could be opened and closed.
Okay. Like to open the public hearing. Anyone on Zoom want to speak or in the room? Okay, seeing none, I would close the public hearing.
And then there is a resolution that's required to be adopted to authorize the bond issuance. And so that would be your next step, is to vote on the adoption of that resolution.
Okay. Look for a motion to approve a resolution authorizing Atchison County, Kansas to issue its educational facilities revenue bonds for a Benedictine College Project Series 2023 for the purpose of financing a project of Benedictine College, authorizing and approving the execution of certain documents in connection with the issuance of the bonds and authorizing certain other actions in connection with the issuance of said bonds. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0.
I think that's it. Well, and then-
1523, Patrick.
Oh, I didn't look it up.
The number. Do you know when the construction's gonna start, or any ideas yet?
So we think the demolition will probably start inside the next 4 to 5 weeks.
Okay.
And then the demolition and the grading will happen all at the same time, and then construction will get going thereafter. We're gonna use this, we've already signed a contract with Straub, construction, we built the first two.
Yep.
And also did the Bishop Fink remodel. They're amazing, they're really working like, and they hire a lot of local subs, so we really like them. And, so we think, you know, sometimes with the contractors don't feel time pressure, so we're gonna make sure we keep some time, even though we don't need to move students in until next August, we're gonna keep some time pressure in there just because deadlines tend to slip if you don't keep those time pressure.
1523.
Okay, I added that. Should I make a motion to allow the chair to sign all bond documents?
Yes.
Yep, okay. All right, I'm looking for a motion to allow the chair to sign all applicable bid documents on behalf of the project with Benedictine College.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes 3-0. I will sign away.
Thanks, but, you know, the other thing you guys should know, we really appreciate your support, but so when you talk to your constituents, right, you might not know that we're leveraging these bond proceeds with some ARPA funds. So we're actually, you know, bringing some state and federal money in also on this project, so it's not just all,
Nice.
you know, bond money, so it's a good kind of public-private partnership. We really appreciate your support.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
All right.
Sounds good.
Thanks
Thank
so
you,
much.
guys.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I would look for a motion to adjourn into a workshop at 1:04 PM.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Passes 3-0. We are adjourning into a budget workshop.